Hello. I feel like it's always a rainy day when I'm doing these webinars, but maybe this will brighten things up. I'm Jennifer Harrison. I'm the coordinator of the ARC of New Jersey's Sexual Violence Prevention Project, and this is all about reproduction, making babies, how it happens, and how it doesn't happen. So we will learn everything there is to learn or close to it. And let's get started. Just a little bit of what they call housekeeping. At the bottom of your screen, there is a chat button. We're going to be playing some games, and you might come up with questions or comments or just want to chime in. What you can do is just hit that button and type in whatever you like, and I'll address it as it comes up. Okay, what can we expect from today? Here's what we're going to learn. We're going to review our sexual body parts. These are also called private parts. These are the parts that your bathing suit covers, but they have real names. I know we like to make up fun little nicknames, so it's a little easier to say, a little more fun, but there are right names, and it's important to know them. Why? So that when we're telling a doctor, say, or if we have to report something, if we have to let someone know what's going on with our body, we want them to understand the part we're talking about. So we're going to learn the real names. Then we'll talk about sex and human reproduction, making babies, all the mechanics. We'll go over some myths about reproduction and sex. Myths meaning, we'll go over that word, but things that just aren't true that a lot of people say. We'll talk about abstinence. You'll learn what that is. We'll talk about STIs. You'll learn what that is. We'll learn about contraception. Say it with me. You'll learn what that is. Then we'll talk about what to do if you are or think you are pregnant or have an STI. And finally, I'm going to put up some role plays and activities that you can do at home. It's a great way to repeat and reinforce what you've all learned. Repetition helps us remember things. So we will be archiving this webinar as we do all of our webinars. You can go back and watch and rewatch the whole thing or portions just to keep remembering. Also, this corresponds with, I believe it is, I think it's lesson 5. I should have checked. It's 5 or 6. Actually, no, it's 6, I believe, maybe 7. It corresponds with our reproduction and contraception lesson in the home sexuality education curriculum that you can find on our website. So you can look at the curriculum and this website, and this, you can look at the curriculum and this webinar, or you can look at the webinar alone, or you can look at the curriculum alone, whatever. They can supplement each other, or you can pick and choose. The more you learn, the better, but it's important to have fun. There are also a ton of worksheets that you can do for fun, but also learning. And then you can put them up on the wall or the refrigerator just as a refresher. Again, repetition helps us remember things. And we'll play games too, because it's got to be fun. Okay, finally, a little content alert. Today we're going to be discussing anatomy and sexuality. We're going to be looking at some drawings. They are of the human body. And so just so everyone can be clear of what each part is. We're also going to discuss types of contraceptives and explain how they are used. So everything we're talking about is going to be sex and making babies or sex and not making babies. We are not going to be talking about anything you can do if you have made a baby. That's in a later webinar. Okay, so let's review our sexual body parts. What are those? Well, again, they're the parts that our bathing suit covers, right? So some people have a penis. This guy's saying, this is my penis. It's on the outside of my body. And if you see, I hope you can see my little arrow cursor, but it is both the penis, but then there are also testicles, which we'll learn about later. But we're just talking about this center part, and that is the penis. Other people have a vagina. Now she says, this is my vagina. The opening of the vagina is on the outside of my body. Do you see this whole thing, the part below her belly button and above her knees? This part right here in the center between her legs. Some people call it the vagina, and that's okay, but it's actually the vulva. And that is everything that's on the outside of your body. Anything that if you look down and you weren't wearing anything, you could see. The opening of the vagina is on the outside, but actually the body part itself is inside. So if you put your hand right below your belly button on your, lower abdomen, it's beneath that hand. It's behind it, inside your body, if you have a vagina. And to make a baby, it takes one penis and one vagina. Okay, you can't have two vaginas together, two people who have vaginas, two people who have penises. They can't make a baby. Okay, before we move on, let's learn a word. I think you already know because I've said it a couple of times already now. It is reproduction. What does that mean? Excuse me. Okay, reproduction is how we make babies. It's also called getting pregnant or pregnancy. You might hear, oh, she's having a baby, she's reproduced, she's pregnant. It's all the same thing. And it's the person with the vagina, but we'll talk about that. So let's learn how our bodies reproduce and make babies. And then how the mother is like, I have my hands full. Okay, how do we reproduce? How are babies made? This is the answer to all of your questions. Well, it's through something called sexual intercourse or sex, right? You may have heard the word sex. That's referring to when it's about reproduction, it's about sexual intercourse. Now, what is that? Those are a couple of big words, right? We're going to go through it step by step. What is sex? The short answer is the person with the penis puts their penis into the other person's vagina. Okay, that's why you need one person with a penis and one person with a vagina, because he has to put that penis into her vagina and to make the baby. But is that all it takes? You just put it in? No. We're going to explain right now. And again, this is very good to go back and listen to, or you can look at the curriculum and you can see in the reproduction lesson exactly how everything works inside our bodies. But we'll go over it now. Okay. But first we have to say this, and I'm afraid my picture is covering it. You only have sex if both people want to have sex. He says yes, she says yes, they can have sex. That's called consent. We have covered this a million times in every other webinar, in every lesson it shows up. It's an incredibly important word. What is consent? It means both people really, really, really want to do it and let each other know that they really, really want to do it. That's by saying yes. That's by giving a thumbs up. It's by a big smile. It's by leaning in. It's all those clues with your body, your face, and or your words to let them know. But if you are going to have sex, both of you have to want to do it. And you have to express it. And you can only make a baby if both people want to make a baby. So the person with the vagina can say, I want to make a baby tonight, and not tell the other person, and make sure it's okay. So that if they have sex, he doesn't want to be surprised that she's pregnant. Same with her. You don't want him to say, I'll tell her that we're not making a baby, but I really want to, so I'm going to. We'll talk later about that, how that happens. But both people have to want to do it. So if you have a thumbs up, whoop, and a thumbs down, no go. See, we have a big red line through it. But if we have 2 thumbs up, then she can make a baby. Okay. But one last word about consent. We never, ever, ever, ever touch anyone else's sexual body parts, penis, vagina, and the breasts on the person with the vagina or someone's butt, unless we have consent. And again, consent is the agreement to do something. Both people have to want it. Both people have to say or show that they want it. Okay? And not because the other person has begged them or said, come on, just do it. Everyone's doing it. That's not consent. You have to be saying yes because you really mean it. And if one person does not want it or changes their mind, even in the middle of sex, they can say, I take away my consent. I don't want to do this. And you have to stop. Same with you. If you are in the middle of sex, in the beginning of sex, you're just talking about it and you think, yeah, I think I want to do that. And then you decide, no, this isn't for me, at least not right now. You can say stop and take your consent away at any time. That is perfectly okay. Okay. So how does it work? How does it work once both people have consented and you said, yes, let's go forward. Let's do this. What are you doing? Well, let's figure it out. This is when you want to make a baby, okay? The body with the penis, you see that long thing? Also has something called testicles. And what it's pointing to is that sort of U-shaped thing around the penis. It's actually behind it, okay? So it's almost like a bag or a sack that's holding 2 bean bags inside of it underneath the penis or sort of behind it. If you want, you can go grab a bag. Everyone's got a shopping bag these days, right? No plastic bags. Put 2 of anything, 2 oranges, 2 walnuts, whatever you have, 2 of the same thing in the bag. And if you hold it up, that's what the testicles are like. The testicles are filled with a sticky liquid called semen. It produces semen. And inside the semen are little swimming creatures called sperm. See them? It's like little teeny tiny creatures, but you can't see them. There's no way to see them. It just looks like liquid. Okay? But it's formed in the testicles and the sperm are in there, even though you can't see them. So remember that word sperm, because we're going to be talking about them again, okay? But first, we have to talk about the body with the vagina. So what we have so far is the person with the penis also has testicles, the bag, right? It's creating a liquid always that's called semen. And there are little tiny creatures called sperm in that liquid. And we're going to talk about that sperm in just a bit. But let's go to the people with the vagina. Excuse me. Okay. The body with the vagina. We're pointing to the vulva, but at the bottom of the vulva is that opening called the vagina. It produces eggs. Seriously, it creates eggs inside of it, the body. See that little thing that popped up, that picture? That's not on our stomach. It's just showing us where it is inside of our bodies, okay? If we have a vagina. So this is, it's the uterus, fallopian tubes, here are the eggs. We'll show that. You don't have to remember all of this, but it's good to know how your body works, right? So we're getting closer, a close-up look at what we just saw that's inside of people with a vagina. So these are the eggs. See what the arrow is pointing to? It's like two little holders with eggs. We're born with them. And once a month, about 2 weeks before we get our period, menstruation, right, when we bleed from our vagina, the body will release an egg. Okay, so it's going to say, I'm sending one out, and it pops right there in the fallopian tube, just hanging out, right? One egg. Now, on a side note, to learn more about menstruation, getting your period, you can watch our human development webinar in the archives or read lesson 4 in the home sexuality education curriculum at www.thearcsvpp, that's Sexual Violence Prevention Project.org, just so you know. So here's the egg, and it's just sitting and it's waiting. Well, what is it waiting for? Aha, here's the egg hanging out in the fallopian tube, just waiting. It's waiting for the sperm. Remember, there's another person who has a penis who inside the testicles has this liquid with sperm in it. So she's like, the egg says, I need those little guys to come to me, okay? So when the couple has sex and the penis has gone into the vagina, the penis releases all this liquid that it's been holding in the testicles, releases it into the vagina, and these little sperm that are in the liquid start swimming. They're racing each other. They're swimming and swimming. They're racing each other to be the first one to get to that egg. That is the goal, okay? And they want to push themselves inside the egg, but just the first one can win. So there are so many of them racing, 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 the egg's waiting. Who's it going to be? Who's going to win? One sperm is going to get there and wriggle inside. The first one inside does what it's called fertilizing the egg. So once a sperm goes into the egg, it is fertilized. Do you have to know this word? No. You just know that a sperm inside an egg creates, here's a weird word, a zygote. That just means an egg that has been fertilized. Okay, so what do we have so far? And I'm going to keep doing, circling back so we remember. One body with a penis, he's got testicles, it's got liquid in it that has these sperm. There's a person with a vagina. Once a month, they release an egg that waits in their body. They have sex, the person with the penis, the person with the vagina, he puts his penis in her vagina, releases the liquid with all those sperm, and they race, race, race to that waiting egg. And the first one in fertilizes it, and it's become a zygote. That is the zygote. That's what it kind of looks like. It drops down into the uterus. Excuse me. The zygote drops into a part of the body right below the fallopian tubes, and it's called the uterus. And it attaches to the wall, it attaches to the side, and that's where that zygote can grow into a baby. That is reproduction. We're going to do one last recap with pictures, okay? person with a penis creates semen inside the testicles. A person with a vagina releases an egg, which waits. The two people have sexual intercourse or sex. The penis, during sex, releases semen into the vagina, right, in the liquid. The sperm inside the semen swim their way into the egg, right? That's when the race happens. The sperm that gets there first fertilizes the egg and makes a zygote. And then the zygote drops down into the uterus where it can grow into a baby. These are all the steps. If you want, I don't think I have the icon that'll pop up, so I won't click, but you can take out your phone right now if you want, if you have a smartphone or if you have a camera, just take a picture of this screen because it's a nice little summary of exactly what happens. And then you can refer back to it. Of course, you can always rewatch the webinar or this part of the webinar or look in the homosexuality education curriculum. And that would be in lesson 4, how zygotes develop into babies. Okay, you can learn once it becomes a zygote, how does it become a baby? We're not going to talk about that in this one, but that's in our human development webinar in the archives or in lesson 4 in the homosexuality education curriculum at thearcsvpp.org. Okay, so let's say you've had sex with someone and you're not sure if any of those sperm actually fertilized the egg. Maybe it bounced off, maybe it didn't work, who knows what happened. You want to make sure that you actually made a baby. Also, maybe you're not ready for a baby and you don't know if you've made one when you had sex. So what are some signs that you may have made a baby? So missing your menstrual period once a month, and as we said, you can learn about this in anatomy and physiology. Once a month, people with vaginas and uteruses get a period or they menstruate. What does that mean? It means that we bleed from the vagina. It actually washes away that egg that's been waiting. If it hasn't been fertilized and it's like, all right, I guess nobody's coming to fertilize me, it washes out with blood. And that's why we bleed once a month. You should get it every 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But if you don't get your period when you think you're supposed to, you could be pregnant. Now I'm going to help you right now. If you take out your phone or your camera, well, not your camera, if you take out your phone, you can hold it up to this QR code right here. That is playtextampons.com period tracker. And if you put this on your phone, if you bring up the app or you just go onto their website, you can actually input when you get your period, and then it will start telling you, hey, you're supposed to get your period on this day. It'll sort of warn you. And that way you can know, the app says I'm supposed to get it, but I'm not getting it. That may be your sign that you're pregnant. Okay, so if you want to either pause this or you've already done it, you might want to go to this website. Also, if you don't have a smartphone on you, you don't have to use the QR code. You can just type in this playtextampons.com/pages/period-tracker, and you can go to their website. Oh, there's my icon. I wasn't sure. So that lets you know, take a picture. Or scan. Okay. What are other signs of pregnancy? Well, nausea, vomiting, you don't feel well, you're throwing up, food doesn't kind of feel right sometimes. Not everybody experiences this. Some people experience it a lot. I experienced it to a very big extent. But that is a sign that you're pregnant. Tiredness or fatigue. If you're more tired than usual, or you go to the gym, or walk around the block, or you're doing something with your arms and you find yourself getting tired a lot, wanting to take naps, could be a sign, if you've had sex, that you could be pregnant. And if you have a vagina. If you have a penis, there is no way you're pregnant, and you might just be sick or tired. Breathlessness. Taking a lot of deep breaths. You feel like you can't quite get enough air. It's not a terrible feeling. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just, you're not feeling great. Breast tenderness or enlargement. You might find that your boobs are a little bit bigger, or they hurt a little bit. Sign of pregnancy sometimes. And then there's cravings and aversion to food. So either you don't know why, but all you want is barbecue chicken. That's all you want to eat over and over again. That's called a craving, right? And an aversion to food is suddenly some foods that you used to like, blah, you don't want anything to do with them. Could be a sign of pregnancy. There's a lot of information here, and I'm sorry if I'm talking quickly. Please feel free to pause, rewind, rewatch, read the curriculum, whatever it is. Keep stopping and taking pictures with your phone. It's a lot to remember, but it's not so important that you remember every little detail, just more the general idea. The big part of this is putting a penis inside a vagina can lead to pregnancy. That's the big lesson here. Okay, let's play a game. Little quiz, little fun. You can type in the chat, and we'll see how much we've understood and retained. So, how many people does it take to make a baby? How many? Is it a big group? Can you do it by yourself? Two people said two. One person with a penis, one person with a vagina. Do sperm fly? Now remember, those are those little creatures inside the liquid semen. Do they fly? No, they swim. They swim really quickly. Can I get pregnant if I haven't ever had my period or have menstruated yet? So if I'm her, can I get pregnant? No, you cannot get pregnant if you have a vagina unless you've gotten your period at least once. So if you've never gotten it, you cannot get pregnant. However, in New Jersey, you cannot consent, remember the word consent, agree to having sex until you are 16. So this little girl right here should not be having sex. She is not allowed to consent. Excuse me. Can two people with a penis or two people with a vagina get pregnant? Right. No. One penis, one vagina. When does the person with the vagina release the egg? Remember, we're born with all these eggs in our bodies, and there's a certain time when our bodies release it. And so any sperm that goes up there can meet with that egg, right? It's no longer tucked away in its little home. Once a month, and it's about 2 weeks before your period. So if you get your period like the first week of every month, September 1st, you get your period. October 2nd, you get your period. In, sort of midway, at the midway point, maybe toward the middle or end of September, say, that month, that's when you would release the egg. So it's good to know in case you do or don't want to make a baby. You can think about, when does my egg release? Now, the egg can stick around a little longer, and sperm can stick around a little longer. We'll talk about that later. So if you don't want to have a baby, just guessing when you are ovulating, when you release the egg, isn't enough. We'll talk about what you do in that case. If I don't want to get pregnant, or I don't want to make my partner pregnant, right? Can we be naked around semen or sperm? Is it safe to be totally naked where there is semen around close by? No, it's not. So we're going to talk about birth control, contraceptives later. If you're not using these things that we'll talk about, do not let a person with the vagina near semen or sperm. That means if anyone has it on their hand, their leg, their stomach, anything like that, you want to wash it off and not get near the other person's vagina or get near your own vagina, because you can get pregnant that way. It's not as common, but it can happen. So better safe than sorry. Just wash your hands. Okay. So what are myths? I think I'm about to tell you, but just in case, I'm going to tell you anyway, before it comes up. Myths are things that are not true, but that a lot of people think are true. Actually, I think I did put it here. Nope. So these are things you may have heard, but they're actually not true. So someone might tell you you can't get pregnant the first time you have sex. So if it's your first time, don't worry about it because you're not going to get pregnant. That's not true. A person with a vagina can get pregnant even the first time they have sex. They can get pregnant the first time they come near semen, right? Semen gets near their vagina. So don't believe that you can't get pregnant. You can. Some people say that peeing after sex will keep the sperm from fertilizing the egg. Doesn't it seem like it would? Like, oh, if I pee, it'll just wash that semen right out. Not true. Peeing does not get rid of sperm. In fact, they are two different parts of the body. So urine or pee, excuse me, is never in your vagina. It's a different hole. So peeing is not going to get rid of any of that. Some people will say, well, sperm can only live for a little while in your body. So if you know you're going to be ovulating, let's say you're tracking your ovulation, and you know you're ovulating on Monday, someone might say, well, let's have sex on Saturday before, because they can't last. They won't be around when that egg is released. Not true. Sperm can live up to 5 days after being released into a vagina, meaning, you know how that egg is released and it sits and waits and waits? Well, when sperm come into your body through semen, they can sit and wait for the egg. So if you do not want a fertilized egg, you don't want to create what grows into a baby, don't let sperm into your body without protection. And we'll talk about that protection. Don't worry about it yet. Just know sperm can live inside a vagina. Some people say you can't get pregnant while you're menstruating, while you have your period, which sort of makes sense, but it's not true. It is possible for the egg to still be waiting a while during menstruation. Remember how I said menstruation sort of washes out the waiting egg? Well, we menstruate for a week. So if it just washed it out in the first 5 minutes, we'd be done menstruating after 5 minutes. But it takes a long time. So you don't want to let sperm into your body when that egg still might be there. Okay, we'll take a breather. This is a lot of information and everyone's doing great. But P.S., if somebody tells you, oh no, these are true, you can't get pregnant the first time you have sex, just pee and you won't get pregnant, not true. That is a myth. And you can tell them you're wrong. Okay, so we've been talking about how to get pregnant. right? You make sure that the egg has been released and it's waiting. You let sperm into your body through semen by having sex, and you hope that one wriggles into that egg and makes a zygote, right? But what if you don't want to have a baby? And there are a number of reasons why people wouldn't want to have a baby or create a baby. And there are a lot of reasons why people don't want to make one right now. Maybe you're not really old enough. You're still in school. Maybe you're not in a committed relationship and you don't want to do it all on your own. Some people don't really want kids, and that's absolutely fair. Everyone wants what they want, and it's all good. So, what if you don't want to make a baby? Right? We want a brick wall between us. Well, the best way not to make a baby is in this red balloon here, abstinence. Yes, it is time to learn a new word, and that is, word alert, abstinence. What is abstinence? Well, it's the decision not to have sex or sexual intercourse or sexual activity where you exchange body fluids like semen and fluids from the vagina, or having sexual contact where semen exists when there's one person with a penis and one person with a vagina. So when you have a penis and a vagina, two people together, you say, we are not going to let the semen from his body anywhere near her vagina. That's called abstinence. When we choose to be abstinent, just a way to rephrase, we make sure that no semen comes near the vagina or near any part of the body that could bring the semen to the vagina. So you don't want it on your hand, you know, things like that. Okay, let's play a game. This is about abstinence. And you don't have to remember the word. You could just call it not having sexual contact. But let's learn more about that. If I choose to be abstinent, if I choose not to have sexual intercourse, can I still kiss my partner? Or do I have to not go near them? Yes, you can. You can kiss and hug and cuddle. And you can hold hands and you can touch each other with your hands with consent, right? They say, yes, absolutely, I really want you to. And you can be a couple, you can be a loving couple. You don't have to have sexual contact to be a couple. It's a choice. Excuse me. If I choose to be abstinent, does that mean I can never have sex? Like I am an abstinent person and I do not have sex ever? No, not at all. Abstinence is a choice. If you're not ready to have sex or you're worried about its consequences, meaning creating a baby or something else, it's a very good choice, abstinence, because it's pretty guaranteed. It's totally guaranteed. You absolutely will not get pregnant if you don't come in contact with semen and you have a vagina. You absolutely will not get someone pregnant if you have semen and they have a vagina and you're abstinent. But only you can decide when and how long abstinence is right for you. Some people are abstinent their entire lives and they like it that way. Some people are abstinent until they get married. Some people are abstinent a couple of months a year. It's your choice. Does being abstinent make me weird? Is it weird to say I don't want to have sex? It feels like everyone's doing it, right? What do you all think? Does it mean you're weird? No one's answering. No, it does not make you weird. It's your choice. It's what's right for you. And only you know what is right for you. So think about your boundaries, what you do and don't want touched or done to you. Think about your values, what matters to you. Do I Do I want to have a baby? Do I want to be the kind of person who has a baby in my 30s, or do I want one in my 20s? Do I want one in my 40s? Do I just want to be a really good aunt or uncle? Think about that, and you think about the consequences of having sex, one of which is maybe making a baby, right? Getting the egg fertilized by the sperm. And we'll learn about another consequence in a little while. Can I choose to be abstinent only once in a while? So the answer is yes. I mean, you can say next month I'm not going to have sex, and that's being abstinent for the month. The thing is, every time you have sex, every single time, you are risking the consequences, right? Maybe fertilizing the egg and making, a zygote that grows into a baby. But to be 100% totally, fully, completely safe from pregnancy, meaning no way, no how are you going to create a baby, abstinence is your best choice. Not abstinence every once in a while, but abstinence until you say, if I get pregnant, that's okay. Now, is pregnancy the only reason to choose abstinence? Right? Does it only have to do with wanting to fertilize an egg or not? What do we think? Someone said no. Oops, someone said yes. Let's see. No, it's not the only reason you might choose to be abstinent. You can choose to be abstinent for a lot of reasons. Maybe you're not ready to have sex. Yeah, and you'll know when you are. That little voice, that little feeling in your stomach, your intuition will let you know if you're just not ready. Then don't consent to having sex. Wait until you're really ready and you feel like this is something I want to do and I think would be good for me. Some people are not interested. They are either asexual or they're not interested in a person. Right now, there's no one around that, inspires them. So you might say, I'm not going to have sex until, I'm interested. The consequences, you might say, don't want to risk, creating a zygote. Maybe you're waiting for true love. Maybe you're saying it's not enough that I'm interested in someone. I want to really, really love them. Marriage, you might say, I want to be married to this person. I want us to be a family before we have sex. These are all great reasons. You may have another reason. It doesn't matter. And it's nobody's business. Your choice, your body, your choice. We all have that choice to be abstinent. Now, I don't like the look in his eye. If my partner wants to be abstinent, can I convince them to have sex anyway? So, what if the person I'm dating, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband or wife, my partner says, I really want to be abstinent right now? Can I convince them or sneakily get them to do it or ask them a million times so I'll wear them down? Can I do that? No way. What do we need in order to have sex with someone? You need to get enthusiastic, really excited, complete. Yes, I want to do all of these things, not just one part. If you only want to do one part, you only do one part. Happy, certain, uncoerced, meaning the other person's not making you or making you feel bad. You want to consent. Consent, consent, consent. And the same goes for your partner, the same goes for you. Nobody can convince someone else to have sex. That is not right, and it's not consent. Take a breath. That was a fun quiz. Now, remember before we said there are consequences to having sex, meaning sex can cause something to happen, like having sex can cause a zygote to be created. There's another consequence. They're called sexually transmitted infections. We're going to call them STIs. Okay. And what is that? Well, two people having sex can lead to getting an infection, to getting sick, to making part of your body sick. Does it happen every time? Absolutely not. You have to actually have sex with someone who has that sickness. And we don't always know if they do. Sometimes the other person doesn't know that they do. Sometimes they may not bring it up, even if we ask. Maybe they're wrong. So know that having sex can also get you this kind of infection. Again, not everyone can give you an infection, but you don't always know who has it, right? Just like you don't know if someone's coming down with a cold always, and COVID. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't feel right today, huh? And then the next day they're like, I tested, I have COVID. These infections are not COVID, but they're sicknesses. We'll talk about them. So, STIs. What are some symptoms? How do you know if you have an STI? Oh, I had sex. How do I know if my partner gave me an infection? Well, there can be a strange discharge with or without odor. So, stuff is coming out of your penis or vagina. It's a little icky, it's not great. That could be a sign. If your penis or vagina is itching or the area around it, if you're really itchy and you don't know why, could be an infection. Same with burning. There could be a rash or redness, red bumps or little sores. If you see anything like that ever, you should always check it out, right? Because a rash is never normal. It's not always a big deal, but it's never like supposed to be there. Fever or chills, maybe you feel really sick, like I feel like I have COVID, I feel like I have a virus. It could actually be from an STI if you've had sex. Blisters, so like little bubbles that are attached to your body and they're painful. And pain while peeing, that's actually a really big marker that you may have gotten an STI. It shouldn't hurt or burn to pee. So here are friendly doctors. Here's the chart. Tell your caregiver if you have any of these symptoms. Again, you can take a picture of them right now. If any of these things is happening to your body, tell your caregiver and go to the doctor. Okay. Now, I'll say this again later, but I'm going to say it now. If you're watching this webinar with your caregiver or with your student or the person you love, this is a great time to turn to each other and say, you can trust me to tell me if you've ever had sex and you think you may be pregnant or you may have an STI. If you are having symptoms of pregnancy like nausea, vomiting, fatigue, tiredness, or if you have a discharge or a rash or burning, you can tell me and I will not get angry, but I'm going to take you to the doctor and we're going to make sure, okay, so we can know and do what we have to do. But you need to be able to feel safe. So caregivers, teachers, why don't you turn to them right now and say, you can feel safe. I will not punish you. I will not get mad, even if I was hoping you wouldn't have sex. Okay. What if I think about my boundaries, what I do and don't want to have touched, right? That fence around parts of you. And I think about my values, right? What matters to me, family, health, sports, and the consequences of my decisions, meaning what can happen, pregnancy or an STI, and I decide I do want to have sex. Because that can happen, right? We think about, should I, shouldn't I? What do I want done to me? What's okay? what am I really afraid of? What am I not? And you want to have sex, but you don't want to make a baby and you do not want to get an STI. Does that mean you have to be abstinent? Is there a way to keep myself safe and still have sex? Well, let's tell you. The only 100% you are absolutely surefire, no doubt, take it to the bank, certain way, you will absolutely not get pregnant or an STI, that's abstinence. So if you are terrified, you're really not ready, there's no way you want to risk it, abstinence is the way to go. It is the only way to be sure. But if you decide, yes, I don't want an STI, and I don't want to make a zygote or a baby, but I do want to have sex and I'm ready and I know it's right for me, there is an 80 to 99% sure, meaning out of this, you're this sure. Only a bit of doubt, mark it down, but only in pencil way, you can be fairly certain you will not get pregnant or an STI. Okay, so there's a way you can have sex and be pretty sure you're safe. Now, things happen. It's not out of the question, but you're not as safe as with abstinence, but you're still pretty safe. How do we do that? It's called contraception. Follow me. We're going to learn about contraception. Let's learn that word. Word alert. It is contraception. So contraception is also known, oh, I started parentheses and I didn't end them. I hate that. It's also known as birth control. So you may have heard about this before. Using birth control is the use of materials or certain behaviors to prevent sexual intercourse, sex, from causing pregnancy or STIs. So how do we have sex and not get pregnant? Probably. And not get an STI? Probably. Use contraception or birth control. There are many approaches to contraception. There are a bunch of different things you can use, and we'll just go through it now. You can stop and take a picture during, after, or rewind, whatever you want, but we're going to go through some good ones. So the main ones are barrier, which means it keeps, like a fence, it keeps the sperm from reaching the egg, right? So the sperm is swimming, boop, there's a barrier. It's not getting through. There's also hormonal. So that's used by the person with the vagina. And they use it to prevent that egg from being fertilized. I actually put sterilized. That's not what I meant. I meant fertilized. So just ignore that. If they don't want their egg fertilized, they can use hormones. And I'll tell you how. Here are the barrier methods, right? To keep the sperm from going near the egg. Condom, 98% effective. That's pretty good. That's, you're pretty certain. It's placed over the penis, almost like a balloon, stretching a balloon over the penis. It's not actually a balloon though. It's a condom. Please don't use a balloon. It's not safe. And it catches the semen. So you see the tip of this? The semen comes out here, but it can't get through. Now there's an internal condom. Now that's used by the person with the vagina. And it's 95% effective. So not as effective, but pretty effective. And that's placed inside the vagina, and that also catches the semen. So the semen get blocked. This is a diaphragm. It's 92 to 96% effective. So again, pretty good. Not the most effective, but pretty good. It's placed inside the vagina. It catches the semen, right? It's like the semen goes into this little dome here and can't get through. It's prescribed by a doctor. So you can't go to the store and just grab one like you can condoms. They're at almost every store. You need a doctor to prescribe a diaphragm. And like a diaphragm, this is called a cap. That's 95% effective, pretty good. Placed in the vagina, catches the semen, prescribed by a doctor. So these are barrier methods. Interestingly, the condom, this first blue guy, is the only one that's used by the person with the penis. Otherwise, it's up to the people with a vagina to make sure they don't have their eggs fertilized, not sterilized. Now, to learn how to actually use these methods, I do go through it in lesson 4 in the home sexuality education curriculum. Lesson 4 is anatomy and physiology. And that is at www.thearcsvpp.org, in case you want to know. It's good to know. It's good to practice too. Okay, hormonal methods. Now at the bottom, you'll see all of these methods are prescribed by a doctor. So you're not going to find any at your CVS. You have to actually go to the doctor. And these are all used by women or people with vaginas. Birth control pills, just a pill like a vitamin, 99% effective. That's extremely effective. But you have to take it every day. You cannot forget, because if you forget, you can get pregnant. So if you're not good at remembering, like to take your vitamins or to take out the trash, probably don't want the pill. But if you can remember, or you set a little alarm on your phone every day at the same time, this is a great way not to get pregnant. This is a vaginal ring. I don't know many people who use it, but it's more than 99% effective, meaning it's almost as good as abstinence. It stays in for 21 days, so 3 weeks, and then you take 7 days off. 1 week, you take it out for a whole week, and you take it out yourself. It's self-removed, and you give your body a break for 1 week. And then you put the next one in, and it stays for 3 weeks. This is an implant. It goes actually in your arm, an implant. That is also more than 99% effective. So hormonal methods are really very effective. This implant stays in for up to 5 years. You do not have to take it out. Like after you use a diaphragm, you have to take it out. After you use a condom, you got to take it off, wash up, throw it out. The implant stays in, and your doctor actually removes it, and then they replace it with a new one if you still want to be on birth control. You don't want to get pregnant. Shots. Some people don't like needles, so they wouldn't do this. But if you're okay with needles, it's 99.8% effective. That means almost as good as abstinence. You're almost guaranteed that you will not be having an egg fertilized. And you get this shot every 3 months. So 4 times a year, it means getting a shot. If you're okay with that, it's a very effective way not to get pregnant. Finally, an IUD. Very, very, very effective, more than 99%. It stays in between 3 and 10 years. The doctor puts it in. You don't think about it again until that time comes. And then you go to the doctor and they remove it and they can replace it. Now, here's something very important. These hormonal methods are really effective for not getting pregnant. However, none of them prevent the spread of STIs and should be used with a condom. So if you have an IUD or you take the pill every day, you get the shot, whatever it is, you're not getting pregnant, most likely, but you could still get an infection if your partner has one. The way to make sure that you don't get an infection, have them use a condom. Have your partner who has a penis use the condom. That is the best way to prevent against STIs. But what is the really best way? Abstinence. Excuse me. Okay. So what do I do if I think I'm pregnant or have an STI? Oh, I have burning, itching, a rash. I'm nauseous. I'm tired. I'm, emotional. And I had sex and I didn't use contraceptives or birth control, or even if I did, well, tell a trusted adult. And again, if you're watching with this trusted adult, make an agreement right now that you can tell them anything without getting in trouble. Okay. Even if they said, do not have sex, do not have sex, and you had sex and you think you might be pregnant or have an STI, get a promise right now. Tell me I can come to you and you won't get angry and you won't punish me. Because really staying safe and healthy is more important than anything else. Also, see a doctor. Ignoring pregnancy, ignoring an STI does not make it go away. In fact, it guarantees and makes sure that it stays and it grows. It may also be very, very bad for your health. Some STIs are just annoying and you can take a pill and it goes away, but some can be very dangerous if you don't do something, if you don't go to the doctor and have them treat you. So tell your trusted adult and see a doctor. Absolutely. Okay. If you find that you have all this information in your head right now and it's swirling around and you're not sure if you're going to remember contraceptives, abstinence, STIs, how are babies made, what's a zygote, the best way is to repeat and reinforce, right? Repetition helps us remember things. So here are discussions and activities that you can do together at home that's going to help reinforce these. I'm not going to read it for you right now because you don't want to hear my voice anymore, I'm sure. But here's the guy or girl or person. Hold up your camera right now or your phone, and you can take a picture of this screen. So you can either print it out or you can keep it on your phone and say, hi, we have 15 minutes until dinner. You want to do a quick activity? Or let's have a discussion during dinner. Let me pull up these suggestions that I got on the webinar. So if you right now, I'll give you a second or you can pause me. Thank you for saying yes to this webinar. We don't want to prevent you from watching again, so we're archived along with the other webinars. And you can feel free to reach me at any time if you want to keep this my email address. You can take a picture of it right now. You can remember it, jharrison@arcnj.org. Any questions, comments, anything you have, you can also go to thearcsvpp.org. And that's the Sexual Violence Prevention Project webpage, and my information will be there. So, growing a baby. Baby. Nope, sperm was too late. He didn't make it. Okay, thank you so much for coming. This was really fun, and I hope you learned a lot. Take care.